This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome from Raise Academy. I'm Dr. Rashmi Patil, the Director and Chief Mentor of Raise Academy. So this was my dream and here I am with the Raise MRCOG Part 3 free session for the May 2021 batch. Um, Actually, I had planned this session in the afternoon, but because I got a lot of requests to ask for evening session, so I had to arrange this in the evening today. But because of time constraints, I'm just concentrating for the exam going people for the another 2 days. So today there won't be an active presentation. There are two cases which I'll be discussing, but I'll be telling about how to approach for the case, how to approach for the module as such. So I'll be discussing that. The next free session onwards, I'll be involving all the active participants and the case presentation. So I'm sorry that today I won't be involving the active candidates. So I'll be discussing two cases in brief because of my time constraints. So we'll do that next time. Okay. Yes, to begin with, what is today's agenda as we put in for all the stations? So today's agenda is the exam pattern is going on in the Oslo system. That is a complete online which has been introduced this year to accommodate all the Part 3 candidates, and they're doing really well. So the system is working smoothly. If there is any problem, they are rerunning the stations and all the technical issues, everything RCOG is taking care of. So nothing to worry on that. So this pattern may or may not be there for the November batch. And they may try to conduct face to face if the pandemic situation is under control. So we may get back to the original method of examination. So we have to look forward to. Then it consists of 14 stations. So all of you know, I'm not going to debrief anything about the exam pattern or something like that. So I assume that most of us right now who have started their preparation, they know the basics, how the Part 3 MRCOG goes. Then you have to give your best performance because this is the day you have been waiting since so long, maybe years together, because you're not getting opportunity to just book the exam also, leave alone the other things. So we have to make the best use of that opportunity that we have got. So it has to be your best performance that day. You have to get the smart approach to the stations, how to pass that station by the going by the smart approach. So I'll be telling you those points. Plus, there is no escape route. You have to give your hard work, dedication, and effort. Without that, there's nothing that you can, achieve there. So you have to give your hard work, dedication, efforts, your time. Everybody, the family, friends, everybody will be so much waiting for you. I guess that when are you going to complete your part three? And the studies and it's been going on since months together, years together. So people have been waiting for that opportunity. So make sure when you get that opportunity, you have to give your 100% and clear that exam. So I'll be helping you out with that. So the help and support from the mentor, that is very essential, especially the crucial time. So my candidates, they send the voice notes, everything. I just reply back maybe few hours before the exam also. So they are just discussing that, okay, what to tell in this particular station on this point. Help and support is always available. You have to seek for that. So definitely you'll get it. So this will be the today's agenda. I'll be telling about how to go for the general information gathering, what I expect from my candidates, how they should perform, how they should begin. So initially it is, hello, I'm Dr. Patil, one of the doctors in the so and so clinic. Today, may I confirm your name and age, please? Then how do you like me to call you? This should be very fluent. It means like there is no fumbling, nothing. The station opens and you begin your station. And this with this sentence. So no fumbling in that. How you practice for your simulated patient task, how you practice for your structured discussion. There should be no compromise on the way you begin the station, the way you perform the station, the way you end your station. It should be that perfect. So you practice this 100 times at least. Like You have to keep on practicing till you get used to this sentence. Practice that in your routine OPDs also. And then you'll get used to the very fluent beginning. Okay. The reason for the visit, you need to ask. Okay, she says, I'm Kelly, so perfect Kelly. I understand if there is a GP letter, from your GP letter, that you're here today to discuss about so and so. Is that correct? Okay, so thank you for confirming this. So everything has to go very fluently. Then you fix your agenda. See the components, what it should be. You're meeting her first time. You're going to ask her some questions. You may examine, you may run tests. Then you're telling about the management. So how will you tell this? And she has to agree for that. So how will you make her agree? So Kelly, since we are meeting for the first time, is it okay if I ask you a few questions to know more about you? And then I examine you if required in the presence of chaperone with your consent. Every word is important. Examination if required. Presence of a chaperone with your consent. Every word is important and there should be no mistakes in this. Run some tests if required. Then discuss the evidence-based management options. So you have to tell her that these options which I'm discussing with you, these are evidence-based management options which are available to you. And together, that me and you together, we can arrive at an evidence-based, mutually agreed, safe management plan which is acceptable to you. How does this sound to you? So at every point of time, you're involving her. You're involving this evidence-based management options. You're taking her permission, you're taking her consent. So your agenda should be perfect here. Then you may or may not get time to complete your station and provide the information leaflets of support groups. So here itself, after the agenda, you just tell that in the end, I will provide you information leaflets about what we discussed today, and then fix an appointment with the consultant or specialist if required. Provide you the 24/7 hospital contact number and support groups if you need. Is that okay? So this way, you're clearly telling her that I am going to provide all these things for you in the end. So you may or may not get to complete your station. So tell this one particular sentence here itself and you need to close. First thing you have to do is ask the open-ended question. So Kelly, can you tell me more about your concerns? I'm here today to address your concerns to the best of my capabilities. Then she will tell her part of the story. Take the detailed history about the complaints. Then you ask her, is there any other concern that you want to discuss? Let her tell. Like for example, now there is pregnancy and then there is a medical disorder, maybe some cardiac condition. So HOPI should include your pregnancy complaints and your cardiac complaints. You have to divide it like this. Be systematic. So your pregnancy complaints HOPI, if she's in the early pregnancy, what will you ask? You're asking any pain, any spotting, or any like feeling sick. So these things are your pregnancy. For the cardiac, do you feel your own heartbeat and is there any swelling of your legs? Such cardiac complaints you're including for her. Then do you feel like short of breath? So these are HOPIs. When you're asking about complaints, always remember it is the pregnancy and the condition or whatever she has come up with. Make sure you're doing it very systematically. Next about, you have to follow the general template. The menstrual history in case of gynae things, the obstetric history in case of the antenatal cases. So menstrual history, you just ask her, can you tell me more about your periods? Then she will tell her part of the story. When did you have your last period? Offering a pregnancy test accordingly is a very important safety point. So include your information gathering in such a way that all your safety points are covered in this. You don't have to put in your efforts to gain that extra point in your safety points, right? Because we are doing this in such a way that I am covering my information gathering, I am covering my patient safety points. So my two domains are clear paths. And if I'm going to communicate really well with the patient, then communication of patients is clear path. If I'm going to involve my multidisciplinary team, then my communication with the colleagues is a clear path. What remains is applied clinical knowledge. Yes, we all know that we have cleared the part 2 and come to part 3. It means we have adequate knowledge. I'm not telling complete or total or excellent, at least adequate knowledge to get a borderline right. So you are not going to fail any station in your exam if you follow this pattern. So always make sure your information gathering is perfect. Sometimes in the station, they may give you targeted information gathering. I just tell my students that we don't know what they're targeting. We don't know what they're focusing. What may feel important for them, it may not be important for me that time. So what to do in that condition? Quickly finish your complete information gathering. Make it fast, make it 2.5 minutes and close this. Whichever points they wanted to target or they wanted to take a focus point, they will take them in their paper, right? So there shouldn't be any confusion. Okay, this BMI, should I ask or not ask? They have asked to focus thing, but that may be important. That there could be some DVT components in that station. So do not omit anything. What I feel is make it quickly and complete your information gathering and include all the safety points. Obstetric history, you cannot ask, how many children do you have? Because she may be just pregnant, she may had miscarriage or ectopic or something. So this all statement we know. You have to ask, have you been pregnant before? Then she will tell yes, and so how many times, everything she will tell. So can you tell me more about your pregnancies? She will open up. So you don't have to put an extra efforts for this. You're just telling that have you been pregnant before, and then you're asking for the can you tell me more about your pregnancies, and she will tell. After this comes your contraception. So are you using any contraception? That is the first thing. If yes, then what? If she is using condom, praise that. Yes, it is. Not only provides the adequate, a good contraception, but also provides safety against the sexually shared infections. I appreciate that. So appreciate her words. Screening, have you been treated for any sexually shared infection in the past? Then partner screenings in some station may be required. So you have to ask like that. Then medical history. Do you visit your GP regularly for any condition? You're asking about the allergies here. So are you allergic to any medications, metals or substance? Surgical history, have you undergone any surgeries on your tummy or down below? Then past history, were you admitted or treated prior in hospital for any major problem? It could be any of the medical problems or the surgical problems the patient would have got admitted. So were you admitted or treated prior in the hospital for any major problem? Ask one question about the past history. Social habits, yes. Some may say signpost, some may say do not signpost. What I say is signpost in a mild way. Do not stretch it for 3-4 sentences. No, you have to be very crisp in your information gathering for the fact that you have to cover this between 2.5 to 3 minutes. So just tell few personal questions which will help me in providing safe management. So do you smoke, consume alcohol or take any recreational drugs? Now this sentence again, few people break. Do you smoke? She will tell yes. Do you consume alcohol? She'll tell no. Do you take recreational drugs? She will tell no. Do not do like this. What I feel is ask in a single sentence. She will tell whichever is relevant to her. So do you smoke or consume alcohol or take any recreational drugs? Then she will come up with the answer. Trust me, I have used this sentence. There wasn't any problem. Whatever the role player had to tell me, she came out with the answer. So I clubbed them so that I had to save my seconds and then ask some extra relevant questions in the end. Family history, any family history of concern that you would like to share? Now, what family history she will tell? Either clots in the legs or lung, sugars, high pressures, any cancers in the family, any genetic conditions, wherever it is relevant, you have to include that. Social history, what do you do for a living? Whom do you live with? And how is the support at home? If the baby is there, how is the support at home for you and the upcoming baby? Is your partner supportive? Any of these sentences you have to use. Now, what is she doing for a living? This becomes very important if and sometimes she is a teacher or something, she has to produce some sick note, then get the leave. She's undergoing emergencies. She don't know how to arrange for these things, or way back there is nobody supportive over there. So arrange some support groups and put in touch with her so that you tell her that we are going to take care of you. Do not worry. So these are all the patient safety and the communication with the patient points, where you're counseling her that if she says there is no adequate support, tell them, okay, I'll make the necessary arrangements for you, not to worry. One comforting sentence for her, it will soothe her. Mental health, how have you felt? Like, or you can ask that, have you ever felt down, depressed, or anxious in the past few weeks? I will not label this as 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 2 weeks, something like that. You can just ask past few weeks. So she will come up with that. Blood group, never forget. So are you aware of your blood group? That is the first question. Next, any reservation of blood transfusion if need arises or if required. This you have to say, because some stations the role player may say that, do I need a blood right now? So make your sentence such that she doesn't ask you any question. So are you aware of your blood group? Any reservation for blood transfusion if required or if need arises? Then she will tell no. BMI, are you aware of your weight to height ratio? Practice this properly. It is weight to height. Do not jumble up with this formula. So do not tell weight, body, height, weight, something. So everything gets jumbled up. So practice this in a correct way. It is weight to height ratio. This is what I want from all of you. Be very crisp, be very clear. Now, what if the patient has a high BMI? Do not tell her that, do you think that losing some weight will help you, and do you want that I should put you to support groups to help you lose weight? In the recent exams it's going on, there is a role player with a BMI of 42, 47. All these people are coming up and they are really angry in the station, really angry till the end. If in case you tell them that, lose weight, she's like, why are you telling me to lose weight? Why everybody tries and tell me to lose weight? I don't want to lose weight. Who are you to tell me? Do not put your role player into that anger mode, and she will carry that. They are instructed to do so. It is not their fault. They are instructed to do so. If somebody tells you to lose weight, you become angry, and until unless you feel that they are not comforting you, then continue to be angry till the end of station and spoil the station. So do not let this thing happen to any one of you. You have to talk to her in such a way that she doesn't feel that kind of a burden, that she is having the high BMI or something. So she says, okay, then she says, my weight to height ratio is 42. Just ask her, is it of a concern for you? She will tell no, then leave it off, don't tell anything, just to escape that situation. Later on, when you're dealing with the management part, that time you have to tell. Somebody is on unmute mode. Please mute yourself. Kindly mute yourself. Yeah. So whenever in the later part in the management, it comes that she's telling this thing, BMI is high, so you need to tell about the losing weight now. What will you tell? You will tell that it has been found that some women with the high weight to height ratio, when they lost weight, it was found that their fertility rate had improved. But let me tell you that that was not the only contributory factor. There are so many other things which we have to work upon. So what do you think about this? Tell her in that way, a polished way, a sugar coated way, that yes, she will feel that, okay, she's so nicely, she's telling me to lose weight. Fine, I will accept that. Maybe it will help me out. So you have to tell it in that way. So you have to not to make the role player angry in the station. Next one, once she completes all these things, just tell, okay, thank you for sharing all this information. Now, to summarize or not to summarize. If the station is a long station, do not summarize, leave it off. Just go ahead and try explaining other things. But if there is a time for you, then you want to include 2 or 3 sentences more, then you can say, okay, to summarize so and so. I never summarized in my exam because I always thought that I am going to feel short of time and I have to rush with the station. But at the same time, I should be, not rushing it to things that the patient is not able to understand anything. No, you go it at a particular speed, but skip whichever is unnecessary. So to summarize or not, it depends on you. If you think that you have a good time in your station, then only summarize. Otherwise, please skip this point. One more important question is there anything else that you want to add, which you feel that is important for me to know or that I have missed? Here, the patient will definitely, the role player will definitely come out with some things which, she was waiting to tell you, but then you didn't ask, then she kept quiet. So if you ask this question here, she'll come up with that. So you need to tell this sentence in the end. Is there anything that you want to add or which you feel is important that I missed? Then she will tell you. The next one is about whatever the basic things that you have gathered about her. So if you're starting with your management options or something, you can just tell, okay, your safety is my utmost priority. And then based upon the information that I have gathered, then I'm going to offer you the evidence-based management options and together we'll arrive at this plan. So in case if you're not told in the beginning, you can include it here. In the end, if you're getting time to close the station, which previously also you have told 2-3 sentences, but in the end you have now sufficient time. You have completed your station, you still have time. You close the station properly. Tell her, okay, Kelly, I've given you today a lot of information. So I'm giving you information leaflet about what we have discussed today. And then I'll offer you support groups for your help if you require. Then next appointment, you fix with a consultant or a specialist if you wish to, if she wants to come back and meet them. And later, these are the emergency numbers. Wherever the station demands that, you're giving some red flag signs and then you're giving her some emergency numbers. So these are the emergency numbers. And if you have any queries, then I'm happy to clear for them, like all these queries for you. And then me and my team of doctors, we are always there to help and support. And then you close the station there. So this should be a complete information gathering. I want all of you to practice this at least like 5 times a day and do not miss anything. It is from day one you're going to practice this. So if people are targeting the November exam, yes, you have to begin from today. This is the first step that you're going to do. How to collect the general information gathering. Then all the patient information leaflet for the fact that you will be using the patient-friendly language. Avoid jargons. As much as possible, please do not use the jargon. So your information leaflet, your general history taking template, these are really important. You have to work on them from day one and there is no excuse for that. Okay. So today I'll be briefly telling about 2 modules that how to approach and I'll give an example of a station. So I'm really sorry because I'll be running out of time today. So next time we will practice with the candidates and I'll be acting as a role player. Okay, so about the antenatal care module, how the general template goes. You're doing your introduction, you're asking the concerns, you're asking the history of presenting complaint. Ask the current pregnancy complaints, gestation wise. Please do remember, because in case if the patient is pregnant and she's in the 32 weeks, 34 weeks, something, then at least about the baby movements you have to comment upon. Does she knows the name of the baby? Then address baby, okay, Jack, okay, Kelly, or something like that. You have to. Then how is he doing? How is she doing? You can ask something like that. So address the HOPI current pregnancy complaints along with whatever thing she has come on earth. Along with that, you have to address this gestation wise. Remember this. Next thing is the medications. Medications will be the folic acid, aspirin, low molecular weight. These 3 are very important, which are there like almost each and every station you may offer them according to the risk factors of the patient. So you have to make sure these 3 things you are evaluating apart from any other thing that comes in the maternal medicine template. So apart from that, any other thing the patient requires, you need to do. Risk factors, yes. Diabetes, hypertension, or the preeclampsias in the previous pregnancies or something you need to ask for. Then thyroid problem, obesity. So all these are the stations which you're getting now. Then asthma is coming now. So all these are the exam stations. So you have to assess for the risk factors. Do a quick general information gathering. Yes, here comes the question, targeted, focused. I would say wrap up your information gathering completely. Do not leave anything. You don't know what they're targeting. So finish it off within 2 minutes. You have to be quick. No excuse for that. The last menstrual period, regularity of cycles is important, especially if she's going in for induction of labor. Because you have to make sure cycles are regular and the last menstrual period is correlating with that particular gestation age, where you're doing some intervention for her. Okay, So regularity of, are your cycles regular? So just one question, that's it. Be crisp. Genetic conditions, yes, some stations may demand that. So make sure whenever the station has a genetic component, always ask regarding genetic conditions that run in the family also. Then the BMI, this is really important. Jehovah's Witness, Rh negative pregnancy, and offering the anti-D. This has to come in one go for you. Whenever you're asking about blood group, you're asking any reservations for transfusion if required. So you're ruling out the Jehovah's. Then Rh negative anti-D. For example, there is a station, placenta previa, Jehovah's Witness, anterior is there. She's come with, the management. There is a structured discussion. Everything is going on. So Jehovah's Witness, she has some advanced directives. You can ask one question, whether she wants to reconsider this. If she says, okay, I will accept transfusion, well and good, your station is going smooth. But if she says, no, I will at any cost, I'm not going to accept transfusion, then you have to offer other things. So whenever there is a Jehovah's, you have to ask her whether in the end or a structured discussion or towards the end of your station, would you like to reconsider, so that you can ask for her. Support at home, this is really important, because post delivery, what is the mental status or something, you don't know, antenatal complications they could have, so they should get good support at home. So ask about that. About delivery, any particular mode of delivery that she has decided for herself, for any particular reason, she'll come back, I want only vaginal birth, I want only cesarean, then twins, whatever it is, so I want only this kind of delivery. So ask, like, may I know the reason? Why do you want this? Then she will tell something about that. The routine scans, the routine blood tests will go on, the booking tests, scans, frequent scans. So take the station accordingly. Then whenever the patient it is having some medical disorders, you have to go for the MDT approach. Most commonly involved MDT members will be your consultant, then a specialist nurse, your counselor, and that specialty person or some consultant with special interest in so and so. So that kind of a dialogue. So these 3-4 members are permanent in your MDT. Do not change them. Apart from that, think, whom else can I add into this? Whenever you're beginning your management points, it should begin with, okay, from now onwards, your care will be with a team of specialists called as multidisciplinary team, and your communication with colleague domain is strict. Yes, she knows about how to approach. She's involving consultant, that is a real safety point. And then she's targeting everybody. Almost, excuse me, almost every station will require a counselor for one or the other reason. So include them. Next is like where to deliver, consultant-led unit, midwife-led unit, home birth, or anything like alongside. So that all the station demands. As and when the negotiation station comes, I will be explaining that. So where to deliver, that particular point. Take her through the labor process and the epidurals or the analgesia, pain management, how it goes, everything you need to explain. Then take her to the, Dr. Tina, please can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so next will be the postpartum care. So do not leave your station there. You have to complete the entire loop. So you have taken her till delivery. After delivery, what? Tell her about the postpartum care. What will you tell? Breastfeeding, contraception. Most of the time, COCs will be contraindicated. Just go through those points, and any contraindication is there, do not offer that. Tell red flag signs which are there after delivery. The follow-up care plan has to be written. Refer back to specialist care and GP if it is required, if the station demands. Pre-pregnancy counseling and folic acid for the next future pregnancies. A single line about that you have to comment. You're taking the patient from her pregnancy, her all the trimesters, the delivery, the postpartum, breastfeeding, contraception, red flag signs, follow-up, putting her back to the general care, and the pre-pregnancy next time. This will complete one particular loop. So without doing this, your station will not be complete. So try achieving this within at least 9 minutes. Target 9 minutes, leave alone 10, target for 9 minutes. Okay, we'll give an example of a station now. So you're in ST5, about to meet Kelly John, and she's 26 years and 36 weeks into her second pregnancy. She wants home birth. as a previous pregnancy, she landed up in cesarean. Very bad experience. She was rushed from the midwife to the hospital. Nobody conveyed her what happened. She had some wound infection. So many complicated points she will tell, and she said, at any cost, I do not want to deliver in the hospital. Now, what you're going to do? This is a negotiation station. This has been coming up in the recent days now. So, introduction, then discuss, okay, you're here today to discuss about the mode of delivery that you're telling. Then the concerns, you have to tell that, okay, every woman has the right that where, when, and how she's going to deliver. So you can make that informed choice once I discuss with you all the options. So just tell her this, okay, you are going to make this particular choice. Then your history of presenting illness, you're asking regarding the complaints of the pregnancy, right? So have you named the baby? How is Jack moving? Any bleeding that you had? Any water loss? Then any pain in your tummy? Then you put up your agenda. Okay, today I'll be doing so and so, and tell about all the options available for you, and then you decide. You make an informed choice. Do the quick information gathering. DVT risk assessment is really important. The RCOG just loves DVT. So you have to make sure that, okay, every patient frequently they are assessing the DVT. At every visit, they are assessing the DVT risk. Okay. Ask her how was the recovery after previous cesarean, what was that indication, and how is that baby doing now? So that could be the problem, like shoulder dystocia. Baby would have had brachial plexus injury. So just one word, it could be some meconium, then the baby is having some HI, or is it something which is affected? So how is the baby doing now? One sentence you have to ask. Then currently, how the pregnancy course, the scans, the blood test, scans, what you want. Any comment on the afterbirth, anything special comment was written? So rule out all the risk factors for this particular patient also. And then any concerns that was mentioned in the discharge summary, because they would have written, okay, for this patient we have taken a classical incision. Somewhere in the discharge summary they would have mentioned. So any particular concerns that was mentioned in your discharge summary, just ask her. Then she may tell yes or no. Now you just ask her the reason for choosing that home birth. Then she will tell some long story, like maybe some half a minute or 45-second story. Listen to her. Do not interrupt. Let the station run, but do not interrupt. Whenever your role player is speaking, do not interrupt the role player. Listen, and then you say, "I'm sorry about hearing this. Then I understand it must be difficult. You have gone through a lot." Something consoling statements. How is the baby doing now? Then you begin your next point. Then offer counselor. You feel that you want to talk to someone. Then she will tell, no, I'm fine, or something like that. Ask her in this station, what about the future fertility issues? Because she already has one cesarean, now it could be like she wants a home birth, so she's trying for the VBAC. So if she has a large family wishes, then okay, VBAC will be beneficial for her. So that way you can take the station. So one sentence about the future fertility wishes. May I know your future fertility wishes? Then she will tell what she wants. Now you're going to tell her the options. One is the VBAC, the other one is the elective repeat cesarean. Why elective repeat cesarean? Because you're telling her the options available for her, and then she's going to choose what she wants, right? That is our main intention. The evidence-based options which are available for her, that is what we said. So we are going to tell her VBAC is available for you, elective repeat is available for you, and you want, like, which one you wanted to know? She wants to know VBAC, but you told the examiner, see, I know the elective repeat is also available for her. So your examiner will be noting down that point. Next, you're coming to her choice of a vaginal birth, and that to home birth. Appreciate her point first. Tell your role player this, yes, what you're thinking is correct. Appreciate them. They want that thing first, whatever it could be. So tell her that, yes, I will be telling about this home birth, and then you're going to tell about the hospital birth, pros and cons and all. Now, whenever generally pregnant women who are giving birth at home and all, there is a midwife run unit, and then in a hospital it is a consultant care. So this is the general thing which the NHS system, everything it has. So here you have to tell that her options of having the baby, it will depend upon what she requires, what are the risk factors, and where she lives also. Is she living very far from that particular hospital? So this also you have to keep in mind when you're counseling her, that what are her needs, what are the risk factors, and where she is living. This is important. Now, these are few points which are there in the NHS website. So clearly they have mentioned. So any doubt you have, you can just Google it through the NHS website. You'll get everything related to NHS. So nothing much to break head upon that. The whatever templates, everything we make and speak, most of them are available on the NHS website. So nothing to worry. So here they are telling that the advantages of giving the birth at home. What are the advantages? What that NHS website mentions? It says that being in a familiar surroundings, so you may feel more relaxed and she'll be better able to cope up with that situation. Her labor won't be interrupted and there's no need for her to leave her elder child somewhere else because she's there at home taking care of the child. Her partner will be there with her. And maybe the same midwife who was giving her care, she'll be attending her. And less interventions like forceps, ventouse or something. These points are for a general home birth request. It is not only for previous cesarean, but it is a general home birth request, what the patient may ask for. Now, when you're telling about the complications, yes, you want to give birth at home. So what all problems can you face then? You may need to get transferred to the hospital if any complications are there. Okay. Then the need for the painkillers, her options will be cut down because you cannot offer epidural and other things for her. Then the scar, the chances that the scar may give away, you may bleed internally at home, and this will become a life-threatening emergency situation for you and Jack. So what are your thoughts on this? Then how long would it take if you need to be transferred to the hospital from the place that you live? So have you thought about the distance, the traffic? So this you have to consider because every minute is crucial for a pregnant mother. Which hospital close by that she has to be transferred, that has to be noted down. Then would that midwife be available all the time? What if she requires the blood transfusion immediately? What if she requires the continuous monitoring of the baby, the straps around your tummy, and checking for Jack's heartbeat? That should be like, so that you have the safe and healthy mother and a healthy baby outcome. So all these problems may arise. So tell about her. Now, what about hospital? Now you have praised her part of the story. Now you have to praise your part of the story also. Tell her you will still have the choices about the kind of care you want. But in a hospital, we'll be giving you more vigilant monitoring. And here you have direct access to all the senior specialists. You tell her maybe previous experience, say that I cannot really comment about your previous experience. I do not know under what circumstances the situation was in that way, but I apologize for that. Maybe it will not happen this time. More care will be given to you. Tell her and counsel her. When you say, okay, direct access to the obstetrician is available, direct access to the pain doctor is available. He can give her epidurals or anesthesia as and when if there is a, the Cat 1 or Cat 2 cesareans immediately. And there will be specialists to give care to your newborn. Okay, so any problem the baby can have, immediately the baby will be given care. Then what else she wants? Tell her that if everything goes fine, then she may go home directly from the labor ward. And then she'll be moved to the postnatal ward or the along with her midwife. So midwife will take care of her, but at least you deliver in hospital, right? After that, we will see what we can do. So you can give her this choice. Now, what happens here? Hospital again, she may be looked by the different midwife. That is the cons which are there. Then more likely to have epidural or episiotomy or forceps ventouse because yes, we may have to cut short the second stage of labor whenever it is necessary. So there are chances that these things are there. after this, explaining, first appreciating her choice, then putting forth your choice, allow her to decide. And whatever she decides, you say your decision will be respected. Okay, and tell her, okay, there are certain things like, the alongside midwifery unit or the midwife led units, other things. So just tell her, I cannot really comment, but I have to talk to my consultant and see if this is going to work out for you. Okay, these two options, do not take decision by yourself. Tell you're going to talk to your consultant, you're going to talk to the local hospital authorities, and let them take the decision. Do not take anything to your head. Okay. The next one, whatever you have discussed that time, you have to document that discussion. Say her that, okay, today I'm going to document our discussion. And who are the people who are there involved in the care? The consultant, baby doctor, specialist midwife, blood doctor, pain doctor, counselor. Everybody will be looking after you if you're there in the hospital premises. Now comes the famous clinical governance points. So always remember, I tell to all my candidates that there are 7 Ds which are really important. So first thing is your documentation, then you're doing is your debriefing, then you're performing some duty of candor, then you're seeing if DATEX has to be submitted, then you're doing your DVT prophylaxis, then you're doing the discussion of the case, or you call it as a case-based discussion. Then you're writing the proper discharge summary. This is really important. So all these are your 7D. Apart from this, which other clinical governance can come? Wherever something is happening again and again, you're going to do an audit. Wherever some problem has occurred, you're going to do a risk management. Whenever you are involved in a case and there is a problem, you're going to do a reflective practice. Whenever you want to find out that why this thing happened, you have to do the root cause analysis. Fine. So these are all your extra things. I always tell my candidates the last 1 minute of the station is the time you have to give for clinical governance points. Any station based. So here you are going to tell her, I'm going to document the discussion. You have debriefed her already. There's no duty of candor that you have to perform. Yes, you'll be assessed for development of clots in the legs or lung frequently. Have a discussion with your family and friends. Make the decision for yourself. Okay. There's no discharge summary here. There's no DATEX here. There's no audit or reflective or risk management here. There's no root cause. So leave those points aside. But you're going to think about them in the last 1 minute. Your last 1 minute is always for your clinical governance points. You're going to close your station with the clinical governance points and fetch high marks in the exam. Next thing, you're going to tell, okay, fix another appointment with the consultant next week probably, because she'll be close to 36. You can't call her 3 weeks, 4 weeks later. You have to call her by 37 only. Give the information leaflets, provide the support groups, tell her the red flag signs that if you feel that the jack is moving less, or there is some loss of water, or there is some bleeding that happens, or anything, if you feel unwell, then please do come. This is the emergency contact numbers. And then you're going to end the station, say that thank you for your time. Okay. This will be your antenatal care module template and one example of the station that I've solved now. You have to follow this and you have to cover all these points within 9 minutes, extended to 10 minutes. So I hope I'm clear with the antenatal care module for all of you. Okay, how to go? This systematic approach should be there, and it will come only with practice. So there is no shortcut. You have to work hard and make sure you're giving the best try for your exam. Okay. Yes, thank you. So the next one is about the maternal medicine module. So how have I prepared this, the maternal medicine module? Can you all see the screen? Okay. Yes, my opening statement. Yes, yes, thank you. So my opening statement in the maternal medicine module, always, I used to make few sentences and I would think, okay, amongst all these sentences, let me speak at least two or three. Which sentences I would form? I would tell that, okay, she has come either pre-pregnancy or early pregnancy. That's the thing that she has come. So just say every mother should be thinking about her health when she's planning for the pregnancy. And pre-pregnancy counseling, this provides us a window of opportunity for optimizing your health so that the journey of pregnancy, delivery, post-delivery care is beautiful for you. I'm happy that you're here to discuss your concerns. So with the informed choice and involving your partner and the caregivers, we as a team will provide you the best and safe evidence-based management plan for you so that you have a healthy mother and a healthy baby outcome. Which role player will get angry on me? Tell me. Which structured discussion examiner will not get impressed by this? You tell that your the entire thing you're concentrating is on her safety, her priorities, the mother and the baby healthy outcome. There is no way that somebody can fail you in this station because they already know your intentions. That yes, you are going to be a patient safe doctor. You're going to communicate with the patient well, and you're going to tell her all the management options which are evidence based. What else do they want? So begin your station. It is not like you have to tell all these lines, but at least tell two or three. Okay, this is providing window of opportunity, to optimize your health. And tell we are targeting for a safe evidence-based management plan for you so that you have the healthy mother and a healthy baby outcome. If you remember, okay, you just tell that, I appreciate that you're here to discuss your concerns. Okay. So in this way, you begin your station efficiently, beautifully, and then carry forward. The next template, how it goes: introduction, your concerns, HOPI about her condition, you have to ask, agenda regarding the pregnancy, regarding the condition. There are always two paths in your maternal medicine. One path will take the pregnancy journey. The second path will take the medical problem, the condition, that journey, how it goes. Always in your maternal medicine, divide the path. Next is ask the open-ended questions. So tell me more about your condition or concern. They would have done, the masters in their conditions because they will be living with that condition since 7 years, 8 years or something. So even if you don't know, they will teach you. So you ask them, you tell me more about your condition, and they'll come up with all the points that they have. The information gathering, you're doing it quickly. Make sure you're asking about the genetic conditions that run in the family, for the fact that most of them could be, autosomal dominant or the recessive or the X-linked, other things in the maternal medicine stations also, they'll keep coming in. So genetic conditions in the family, include that in your information gathering template. Now about the condition. How long is this been? When did you visit your last the specialist? Is everything under control? What medications are you on? Rule out all the teratogenic drugs here. The things what you're going to ask is about the medicines. So first thing, she's on a set of medicines. Are they safe to continue? Second thing, are there teratogenic drugs which have to be stopped? Third thing, which medications am I going to introduce for her? These three things you have to do. Okay. But what about continuation? You can continue. Yes, that decision you can take. What about stopping teratogenic drugs? Do not stop any drugs by yourself. Tell the patient you're going to talk to the specialist because her condition would be stable on that particular medicine. You tell her you may have to stop this drug because it may have some harmful effects on the baby, but don't say, I am going to stop this drug for you. No, you're not taking that decision. It is your specialist, because she would be having some convulsions or something like that. Her epilepsy is controlled only on this medicine. She's not responding to anything on earth, only that medicine. You're not going to stop that. You're going to talk to the specialist. And then he is going to consider whether it can be stopped, changed, dose has to be altered, any decision. Do not take the decision by yourself. Okay. So medications, three things you are checking in for. Which medicines will continue with the same thing, dose alteration, that one. Which are the teratogenic drugs? You're referring to the specialist so that to consider, whether this can be stopped or not.
Stopped or not. Now, the third one is about the medicines that you're going to introduce to her. Which are those? Folic acid, aspirin, low molecular weight heparins, or any other particular maternal medicine station related medicines. So these are the basic ones which you're going to introduce to her. Next thing is, when did she has last episode like epilepsy or something, or when did she have last flare ups like the inflammatory bowel disease. So one last things you have to include. Allergies, that is really important. You're ruling out any particular allergies for the patient. Most of the time, please ask, how is it affecting the quality of life? And this condition would have, this is not only for the gynae but also for your maternal medicine station. So gynae, we do ask excessive bleeding, then we have the menopause, PMS, we have the urogynae stations, the fecal incontinence, and so many stations where the quality of life is like, it is affected a lot. So this question becomes more relevant in your gynae stations. But yes, your maternal medicine station is also important. So ask, how is it affecting her quality of life? Then what is the effect of the condition on her pregnancy? What is the effect of pregnancy on this condition? This is the favorite things which we all think about it, right? So make sure you are not forgetting these 2 points. Now, taking all these things, pre-pregnancy folic acid, for whom it should be started 5 months, 1 month, 3 months, anything. So many months before you are starting, and then she's conceiving, that advice. Changing a teratogenic drugs again to pregnancy safe medicines. The decision will be taken by the specialist himself. You are not going to do any decision making for her. Effective contraception till then. Tell her that unless this has been cleared from the body, most of the times it takes 3 months. So, or like renal transplant, which I'll be discussing. So renal transplant 1 year. So unless her specialist gives her a green signal, that is, you can become pregnant, tell her use effective contraception till then. Use the word effective. Okay. Vaccinations which are required: hepatitis B, influenza, pneumococcal, any particular vaccination for this pregnancy, just make sure if they are there, you have to include. Any particular investigation that is required, like for example, HbA1c is there, the cardiac MRIs are there, so in 2D echos could be there. So any particular investigation if required, you have to mention. Most of the times, like you have to tell it is a consultant-led care. Involve your MDT. From now onwards, your care will be under a team of specialists called as a multidisciplinary team, which will involve my consultant, my specialist nurse, then the specialist doctor who is there with the maternal condition, the counselor, because you would have gone through so many things, genetic counselor, then your anesthetist or the pain doctor, you can say, dietitian, physiotherapist. So many people will come into your role. Physiotherapists, especially in your spinal cord, the CMTs. So these people are coming into a role. Now, when it comes the question that whether this patient requires a termination of pregnancy, so wherever applicable, you have to offer this. You're not going to tell her, you're not going to dictate her, you're going to only offer termination of pregnancy. So in such stations where you feel that later on in the station you're going to offer termination, do not congratulate her on her pregnancy. So when she says that I'm 8 weeks, you say, okay, congratulations. And later on, you're telling, no, you terminate your pregnancy. No. So if you feel that, okay, you're going to advise her that you're going to terminate the pregnancy later on, make sure you're not telling congratulations for the pregnancy before. She'll be happy that time, and then you're bombarding her with this sentence. No. Otherwise, leave it off. Do not congratulate her for any woman for her pregnancy. Just carry the station forward. That should be safe option. Now, next one, any maternal medicine station, you have to do the serial assessments for whom? For the mother also, for the baby also, because her so many investigations we are repeating. Her urine analysis, blood pressure, so many times we are repeating. Then her thyroid levels we are repeating. So serial assessments for the mother and the baby. Take your station forward like this. Next, she reaches the labor. When will she deliver? Where will she deliver? And who is going to attend this? All these are important. And is it going to be induced? Is it going to be a planned delivery, something like that, or an elective cesarean? All these points have to be discussed. These have to be documented in her notes. Sometime even at the booking. Most of the time by 36 weeks. Okay. Now, if she's in labor, can we give epidural? Or she requires only the IV analgesics or the oral analgesics? That has to be seen. You're monitoring the mother condition strictly. You're doing continuous monitoring for the baby. After delivery, where are you going to keep the patient? Such high risk maternal medicine, if anything is there, definitely will not put her in our routine ward. So where are you going to put the patient? HDU, ICU, wherever applicable, please see. Do not leave, think it is a clear scenario. You delivered a patient, you know she's a high risk. You can't keep it in your ward, right? You're transferring that patient to HDU, ICU. This is a very important patient safety point after delivery where she goes for the continued care. This is really important. In the postpartum, yes, what you're going to do? Most of the times, the Mears chart should be there, and then you're explaining everything, all the red flag signs for her. See which all doses, alterations, anything has to be done. Then involve the specialist, do them. See if anything extra has to be added. DVT prophylaxis. DVT prophylaxis not only means the pharmacological, you have to tell about early mobilization, hydration, and DVT stockings. So don't think only low molecular weight heparin. So you're going to talk about all these points for her. I would encourage her to keep good hydration and mobilize well, and DVT stockings wherever it is required, and low molecular weight if it is applicable, you have to give her low molecular weight heparin. Okay, any flare-ups can happen later on post-delivery. Anything can precipitate in the postpartum. This is very, very vulnerable period for that woman. Most of your maternal medicine stations, everything, they will concentrate on the postpartum period because the flare-ups, the precipitation, the epilepsy, especially these kind of things. So they are there all in your postpartum period. Next, what happens in the postpartum? The breastfeeding. What advice will I give her? Because she's taking medicines. Will it go to the baby? Yes. So what will I advise her? Breastfeed the baby and then take your medications. The amount that is transferred to the baby is very less that time. Okay. So breastfeeding, you're not just telling, okay, you have to breastfeed your baby. Nothing. Tell her, breastfeed your baby and then take your routine medications. This will make sense. Contraception, most of the times the COCs are avoided. So just choose your contraception according to that station. Don't leave her there. Take her to the pre-pregnancy counseling and future pregnancies. We will discuss them as and when the need arises. So make sure now she has come for booking visit, but make sure next time she's coming for the pre-pregnancy counseling. This time she has come for pre-pregnancy counseling. Appreciate her. Next time also I would wish you that you come for the pre-pregnancy counseling and have adequate spacing between the two births. So use effective contraception, not only contraception, use effective contraception. These are the words which will give you more marks in your exam. Then plan the future pregnancies. Okay. This is how the maternal medicine template of mine goes. Now here is a case. ST5 preconception clinic. Today she has come. Yes, she has come in the preconception. I have to appreciate her. Mrs. Anna John, she's 28 years. History of renal transplant 6 months ago. 6 months. So renal transplant, my thought is another 6 months, I will not advise her to become pregnant because she has to cover that 1 year. So I'm keeping in my mind. She's currently on these 4 medications. Her hemoglobin, renal function, all these are normal. She's keen on having the baby. So all the domains are being tested over here. So you're going to introduce yourself, emphasize on the topic. Yes, I told those sentences. So use 3-4 out of them and emphasize that, appreciate her that she has come. Ask her what are the concerns. Okay. Then the complaints again. Here she has come in pre-conception, so don't ask any pregnancy complaints. Ask only about the condition. Because it is a kidney condition, I am going to concentrate first on my kidney complaints. Urinary complaints, any infections. Then I will go retrospectively, any fever that she has, headache, persistent, pain in abdomen, anything like that. Then put up your agenda. Then when did she undergo the transplant? Yes, 6 months back. What is the reason? How is the recovery since then? And then when did she visit her GP last, or the specialist last, for this particular transplant related things? List out all the medications that she has. Azathioprine, tacrolimus, prednisolone, your Ramipril. Ramipril has to be stopped. It has to be changed. So tell her that this needs to be changed and started with the baby safe medication. And you have to wait for 3 months at least until this particular medicine is cleared off from your body. Okay? These are the sentences, words which you're going to use. And tell you are not going to change. Your specialist will change. So I will write to your specialist to consider to change these medicines when you are preparing for the pregnancy, because now still you are not allowing her to get pregnant for 6 months, right? So later on. So during when the time comes, then he has to change this. You have to wait for 3 months and then you have to plan for the pregnancy. Finish off your information gathering crisp. Genetic conditions that run in the family you're asking. Renal transplant. Examination. Look for the scar where it is on her tummy. This is really important. Why? If there is cesarean, you're going to avoid that site, right? So you're not going to cut through the kidney. Then she's going to torrentially bleed there. So examination, you're going to look for the transplant scar. Tell her that it is safe to conceive after 1 year. She label her, put that sticker. You are a high risk pregnancy category. So definitely it is a consultant-led care. Yes. And then you're checking all the vitals routinely. And tell her that you have to deliver in a hospital where the renal transplant team is available. Because anything goes wrong, the transplant team is going to take care of that. So in a hospital, preferably where the renal transplant team is available. Then before beginning the management, always utter the word multidisciplinary team. So what are you going to say? A senior consultant with special interest in kidney, then the specialist nurse, the sleep doctor, it should be a senior, definitely, the transplant team, the kidney physician, the scan doctor, the counselor. Okay, all these will be your multidisciplinary team. Most of the times, 97%, like you tell her, most of the times, you will have a safe outcome in terms of both mother and baby. Now, vaccinations should consider hepatitis B, strep pneumo for them. Avoid the live vaccines in these people for the fact they are already immunocompromised and kept. Frequent VTA risk assessments are done. Whenever there is a serum creat which is going more than 150, it becomes problematic. You're checking the renal function test, urine analysis, development for the blood pressure, everything. Now this table is in the talk, so it shows that they are all safe for the pregnancy and the breastfeeding also. Now mycophenolate, 3 months before you have to stop, put her on folic acid. Tacrolimus, you have to measure monthly levels and check for the sugars. ACE inhibitors, again, they could be teratogenic, so you have to stop them and consider changing. Steroids, again, diabetogenic drugs, then you may require rescue dose during your labor. These are basically for your structure discussion. Then when the mother is there, the baby is there. You have to assess the risk factors for the mother, assess the risk factors for the baby. Mother, what will be? She can develop preeclampsia. So start her on aspirin 150, screen for GDM, look whether she's going in for preterm labor, rule out urinary tract infection. Baby can also become small for gestation. There could be neonatal admissions, perinatal morbidity, mortalities are also increased. sometimes her kidney functions may worsen and she may require dialysis. Just tell her this. Routinely, her pregnancy care, what we are going to do? The frequent visits, the scans, the blood pressures, urine analysis, TBT risk assessment also. So all these points you're going to do routinely for her. Hospital delivery, as I said, then you tell her that the transplanted kidney position will be documented in the notes by doing a scan or an MRI and see where it is exactly, because in case the need arises that cesarean has to be performed, at least you know that this is the position of her kidney. Vaginal birth, definitely you prefer that, because anyway you're not going to touch anything in the tummy, so down below it will be coming. So vaginal birth is the preferred mode. Cesarean only if there is obstetric indication, but there are going to be a lot of difficulties, so the team should be there. So now she delivers. What are you going to do for the postpartum care? Avoid methargin because she has high blood pressure. Very simple. Breastfeeding. Medicine should be taken after she breastfeeds. Okay. Then contraceptions. The progesterone containing and the barriers. These are safe for her. So effective contraception till she plans the next one. So she has to manage like that. Further visits will be arranged as and when required. Again, later on, preconception, folic acid 400 microgram, or if she's high risk, you're starting 5 milligram. Tell her that contraception till the health is optimized, the medicines are cleared from your body, you have to use the effective contraception. Give her the information leaflets about whatever things you have discussed and put her to the support groups. Okay, this way your maternal medicine template should go, and this way your maternal medicine station should go, be it any system. That's what I was telling my all the candidates, that don't think, okay, this syndrome I have never heard the name. They will give you hint. They will tell you that this system is involving the kidney, this system is involving your bowel, so this system is involving your liver. Anything, they will give you one hint. Just follow the maternal medicine template, perform the station. You just have to involve those particular specialists from that particular organ. That's it. And see which all things are going to work out better for the patient. So even it is a surprise station, a totally new station, you are going to perform well because you know what has to be done in the maternal medicine module. So you're going to perform that really well. Okay. Do not leave the patient till you complete the entire loop. Give her all the information leaflets and the support groups, and then you're going to end your station. So these two things which I have just prepared, just to debrief about how the modules are, the templates are, and how I solve the stations during my course. So this is my upcoming course. Already bookings have started. So I'm taking only 6 active participants. 3 have already booked, so 3 seats are remaining. Listeners are there, but again, I would say that, when you're practicing actively and you're getting like total 20 stations to present, because I'm carrying 20 sessions, all 6 will present in every week. So they're getting 20 cases plus, I guess, to present. So more than 120 is going to be discussed, and it will be starting in the first week of June. And so you have the details in my Telegram group, so you can just go through that. And yes, Raise Academy, it is a registered with the Indian company. So it's owned by my, I'm the director of that. So this was the dream which, I was living since a long time, that this should come. And yes, it is a registered Indian company now. So I've been started with the part 3. Slowly I'll be beginning with the part 2 and the part 1. So their things are under construction. So yes, if anybody is interested for the November, then people have been inquiring, but the first come first serve basis will be there. So just get back to me on this, and all the best for all the preparation. I'll keep holding the free sessions and tell you about the different modules also. So today I have covered 2 modules, the templates and the general module. So you have 3 templates ready with you right now. So just concentrate, work on them, and make sure you're preparing really well. And thank you all for attending this session. I hope you all have learned from this, and my part of contribution for you all. Okay, thank you. Be safe, stay safe, and have a very good time. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Good night.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much, dear. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rashmi. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye. Good night. Take care.